Welcome to the Make 42 milliliters of hydrogen gas lab with magnesium and hydrochloric acid. We're going to try to keep this video short. So you've already done the calculation at room conditions. It's the first thing you need to do for the massive magnesium needed to make the 42.0 milliliters of hydrogen gas. And so you're going to come over here and cut your magnesium. Oh yeah, for those of you that are in future classes, a student painted my nails. Aren't they cool? So I've already done that calculation for myself. I'm going to cut my magnesium here given my mass to length ratio. I'm deliberately making my magnesium slightly longer, like maybe 1/10 of a centimeter longer, so that I can cut it perfectly to mass at my scale. This is slightly more than the mass that I want, so I'm just going to take the scissors here that are at my bench and cut my magnesium down a tiny bit at a time until I can get this mass as close as possible to what I calculated. Once you have your magnesium within a 1,000th of a gram of what you calculated, you're going to want to fit it into this wire cage that you can make just by wrapping your copper around the magnesium. Once you feel like your magnesium is nicely held, it's not going to slip out of there, and it's held on all sides, because remember, this thing's going to dissolve in the hydrochloric and it's going to get smaller, so you want it to be nice and tightly held. Just set it down and go get your 5 milliliters of concentrated hydrochloric from the fume hood. Here's the pipette that you're using today, and they're already set to 5 milliliters. You don't need to be quantitative or very precise about this because the hydrochloric is going to be significantly in excess. So just make sure when you add this to your empty odiometer that you have at least 5 milliliters. If not, just add a little bit more. You are dealing with concentrated hydrochloric today, so because of that, I want to make sure that you are very safe. You got your hair back, you got your goggles on, and if there's any spill up here, of course, wash your hands first, and I have baking soda for neutralized droplets that fall around the reservoir. Once you've added the hydrochloric to your odiometer, I want you to make sure to replace the pipette into the Erlenmeyer flask that's behind. That's the holder. Don't just leave it laying down, because the hydrochloric will go up into the pipette. Unless there's somebody standing right there, then hand it to them. Okay, thank you very much. Take care of these things. Here's your odiometer, and you've got your 5 mils, or 5.0 mils of hydrochloric acid in there. And you want to add deionized water. So I've given you a graduated cylinder, and I've given you a pipette. So you want to fill your odiometer all the way up until the top, so that actually water will spill out when you put your stopper in. These next steps you're going to want to do kind of fast. You've got your rubber stopper, you've got your copper with your magnesium, and you want to put the copper in there. Then you want to put the stopper in nice and tightly, and then you want to flip this thing upside down and put it in your water bath. And the faster you do that, the more of the gas, hydrogen gas made by the magnesium reacting with the hydrochloric, the more of that gas you'll catch. If the odiometer is right side up when you put the magnesium in, obviously you're going to lose some hydrogen gas out of the top. Right. Good luck. Notice that I've got my copper wire in between the glass odiometer and the rubber stopper. Don't put the copper wire through the hole on the top, because that's where you want your gas to come out, and where you want the water to be pushed out as it's pushed by the hydrogen gas you've made. To get your odiometer in your bath, put your finger over and then just place it in your bath. And that way you'll minimize the danger of error, creating air bubbles that will rise to the top. All right, I've got my odiometer in here. I'm just going to wait until gas production's over, and you'll know gas production's over when the magnesium is gone. It's all dissolved, and you've made, and it's no more bubbling is being observed. This will be the most time-consuming part of the lab, where you're just waiting for the gas production to take place. Notice I have test tube clamp here that I'm using to hold the odiometer. And notice that the odiometer is in the water below. You're going to push about 40 to 45 milliliters of water into your beaker. So make sure you've got room for 40 to 50 milliliters of water to be pushed into this so it doesn't overflow. That's going to take some thinking ahead and some prefrontal cortex development, which all of you have varying degrees of. Sorry. Making tons of hydrogen gas here. This is really cool, and we're just going to wait. You can see here that my hydrogen gas production went all the way to almost my copper cage, and that's ideal. Make sure your copper cage doesn't go past, I guess this would be 49, 48, 47 milliliters. Make sure 48 to 47 is as high as you want it, so that the copper cage doesn't reach up into the hydrogen gas. Then it'll stop reacting if it's not in contact with the hydrochloric acid. All right, you got to remove this thing. So to do that, you want to undo the test tube ring, of course, test tube clamp, reach your finger in, cover that hole under the water. I know there's hydrochloric in here, but right by now it's very diluted. So you're going to wash your hands when you're done with this. Pull this out of here, but don't flip it upright. You're going to bring it over to these baths that have blue food coloring in them, and you have to put your odiometer in them. Let me show you what that's going to look like. One of the tricks of this lab is to get an accurate measurement of the volume of the gas that you made. And to do that, you need to make sure that the pressure inside here is actually equal to air pressure. So you need to put your odiometer in these water baths and lower the odiometer until the meniscus of solution inside the odiometer is at level with the top of the blue food dye water bath. Take your gas measurement there. Now, if you did everything perfectly, you should have made 42.0 milliliters of hydrogen gas. The additional volume is due to the partial pressure of water vapor. And I want you to then run calculations on how many moles, how much volume, how many grams of water vapor are in this gaseous mixture. And if you have any downtime today, start cranking out graphic representations or data tables. Now, when you're all done, you're going to take your odiometer out of here when you're done getting your measurements, and I want you to pour this down the drain. I want you to, whatever's left in your odiometer, pour that down the drain. Clean your odiometer. I want you to pour this beaker down the drain so that it's just clean tap water for next period. Put 500 milliliters in here for next period. And your lab report is due 1 week after tomorrow, and we can talk about that later. All right, good luck.